Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me today. Today I have several really easy Christmas cards that are all the same but a little bit different. And I am using this Deck the Halls stamp set from Maker Forte. And I'm also going to be using some Kaleidoscope powders. And if you haven't heard of or don't know what those are, they are similar to a Perfect Pearls, I believe. And I'm going to be using these two brushes today to help me put the Kaleidoscope powder on. One is a dual tip powder brush, which is going to help apply the product, and then the rainbow powder brush is actually going to be used to wipe off any of the excess product. But I will leave links below to all of the products that I am using today. I thought I'd start out for the first two cards with a colored card base. Sometimes it is a little bit less ink usage if you start out with something that is not a white card base. So this is a really light pink card base, and I'm taking several shades of red or dark pink, just blending it across the card. The inks I'm using are Color Hive inks, and the colors I am using on this card are Flamingo, Tiptree Jam, and Telephone Box. And then I am taking some Distress Oxide and Ground Espresso and going around the edges. And I went ahead and used my heat tool to dry since these are pretty wet inks. I also used my anti-static bag just to make sure I didn't have a lot of excess powder where I didn't want to. And then I went ahead and I stamped up my stamp using some clear embossing ink. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply the powder. So what I like to do is take a little bit out with my dual tip brush and put it in the lid of the Kaleidoscope powder, and then just go into that and kind of just grab some and pounce it across the wet embossing ink. So I'm going to go ahead and take that brush and just pounce all over until I have that entire image covered. And then I'm going to take my rainbow powder brush and just wipe off all of the excess powder. And then to set these and all of the cards that I do today, I am going to use hairspray. So I'm just going to give this a light spray of some hairspray. You can also use water to set the powder so that it doesn't move. For my second card, I am starting out with a light purple card base, and I'm going to use some different shades of purple. These are also Color Hive inks from Maker Forte. The colors I'm using on this are Sugar Plum, Blueberry Cheesecake, and Purple Rain. And I'm going to go ahead and for this one add that Distress Oxide Ground Espresso around the edges as well. And I've gone ahead and I've done the same as the first card. I've dried it and also used my anti-static bag. And then I'm using the Snow Flurries Color Hive ink from Maker Forte, which is a white pigment ink. So I went ahead and I stamped that up first, and then I'm going to cover it with the Kaleidoscope powder. The Kaleidoscope powder for this one is also called Snow Flurries. And I'm going to follow the same process as I did for the first card, just taking my dual tip powder brush and pouncing it in that powder, and then pouncing it over the wet ink. And again, taking my powder brush to wipe off all of the excess. And then for the third card, I'm using shades of green. I actually started out with a white card base for this one, and the colors I'm using are Tartan Teal, Palm Tree, and Pop Art. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and use some clear embossing powder, and then, or clear embossing ink, and then I'm going to cover this with clear embossing powder. And then I'll take my heat tool and go ahead and set that. And then I'm going to take some more of the embossing ink and just swipe it across the card panel. So I'm going to cover the entire background with some of that Kaleidoscope powder. So I want to make sure that the entire panel is covered with this clear embossing ink. And then for this ink, this Kaleidoscope powder, I am using Shooting Star, and I kind of just started off with sprinkling a bunch on, and then I ended up just taking my dual tip brush and kind of moving that all over the back of the panel. And so this is going to give it a little bit of a silver sheen to the background. And I will take my powder brush and wipe off all the excess, and all of that remaining on my paper there, I'll just go ahead and put it back in that little pot. And then here's the hairspray I'm using to go ahead and set that. So you can see it gives it a really pretty kind of silver, I cannot say that word, silver shined to the background. And I mounted all 3 cards onto a piece of kind of a beige metallic cardstock. I went ahead and trimmed the card panels down about an eighth of an inch on each side. And then for each of them, I added a bow as well as some crown jewels in Rhubarb Ripple, and I believe the other one is called Shooting Star. And that is it for my cards today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like this video or found it informative, please go ahead and give a thumbs up. As always, I thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with me today, and I hope to see you next time.